friends, Shayla here. So I am here to film my weekly wrap up for you. 25 Days of Manga started, and believe me, I read a lot of manga. And I did get some books in there as well. I'm really excited to talk to you about them. So let's go ahead and dive into this video. I'm going to start with the manga because I know with 25 Days of Manga, that's what a lot of y'all are here for. So I'm going to start with those and then we'll dive into the books. I didn't finish any audiobooks this week. I did have 2 ebooks that I read this week and then some physicals. So let's dive into the manga though, because I've got a lot to talk about. So I have read my 1 volume of Digital First for that prompt, and that is the first volume of Queen Bee. This was a really sweet manga about a girl who kind of has RBF. She just kind of looks angry and intimidating all the time, and she's got this big crush on a guy in class. He agrees to go out with her, not for the best reasons, so jury's still out on the hero on this one. But she is absolutely adorable. She starts to like be herself around him, and he starts to warm up to just who she naturally is. And it started off really, really sweet. I think this could be a great series. I like that our hero is already starting to change, and he was honest. Like she caught him telling his buddies that he did it just because he was curious, kind of a thing. But that he did have a good time with her. And, like, they've been pretty open and honest with each other. And even though she, like, awkwardly confessed to him, and that's how they ended up going on this date, like, you know, she's like, I don't expect anything from you just because I had this awkward love confession to you. Like, I want us to get to know one another. And it's just cute. I really like them. This series could go a lot of ways. It's kind of like a gender-swapped version of My Love Story in a lot of ways. She's very strong. She rescues him constantly. It's cute. I really like it. So definitely give this one a look if that sounds appealing to you. Now, we have Volume 7 of the Case Study of Vanitas. This is Steampunk Vampires, if you're new to the channel. And this volume was solid 4. I continue to really like the direction of the series, and it continues to get more and more interesting. Like, I really can't say much because we're 7 volumes deep in this series, but man, I love it. It's so good. Like, I don't know why more people don't talk about this. Yes, the plot moves a little slower in some places than some others, but I still really enjoy this. The art is fantastic. I'll show you this because that's not a spoiler. So it's good. It's really fun. Still one of my ongoing favorites, and I just enjoy it. Next up, we have a pile of cuteness that left me in a pile of tears, and that is Yuzu the Pet Vet Volume 3. Now, this is a series geared towards kids about pet care, and essentially the good, the bad, and the ugly of pet care. So there are moments that are very, very sad and emotionally touching in the series. So if you are sensitive to animals being injured, we're at a vet clinic. So go in prepared, prepare your children if you have them read it. Yuzu's very young. She's in 5th grade. So this is definitely totally okay for your middle grade audience, as long as they can handle an animal having an injury or an old animal possibly passing away. Those are some things that'll come up in the series. And this also talks about like proper care of your pets, how to train your dog so that you are the alpha, not them, things like that. That's important if kids are going to be helping out with animals at home. So the series is great. It's very educational. I think it's great for its audience, but you probably should be sensitive to those things. I realized I haven't really mentioned that. And then I had a friend read this and she was like, I can't do this. And so I felt really bad, but it is, I cry. I've cried in 2 of the 3 volumes I've read. So just be prepared for that. Next, I finished A Devil and Her Love Song. Now, before this week, I had read volumes 4 through 7, and then I finished 8 through 13 this week. I'm just holding this one up because this one I own, the others I borrowed. So those are in the box, ready to go back to the person I borrowed them from. But this is a solid 4-star shoujo series in which we're following a girl named Maria. Maria basically gets kicked out of Catholic school for standing up for herself and for a classmate, I believe, if I remember correctly. And so she gets kicked out of the Catholic school. She goes to public school. She has a beautiful voice. And this is about her and her bluntness, learning to make friends, and the love that she experiences while in public school. And I totally called Best Boy from volume 1. I love this series. It's so fun. I'm working on collecting the rest of the physical volumes. My friend Maeve over at Maeve Ever Reading, she'll be linked down below, is the one I borrowed the series from. She gave me the first 3 volumes, and then I bought this one off of her because she had a duplicate. And I do plan on picking up the rest of the series soon. I just need to prioritize it. But it's such a sweet series. I'm so glad I was able to finish reading it. It was so fun. All right, up next, we have volume 12 of Hatsuharu. This is the penultimate volume of the series. And we get solid resolution on 2 couplings within the series. The other couplings have been pretty established for a while. So the other 2 pairings are very solidly established by the end of this volume. I cannot wait to see how the final volume wraps up. This is so cute. This is about a playboy at school who goes about his playboy ways. He hurts one of our female lead's friends, and so she goes up and decks him in the face, and he's like smitten, and it's all about him learning to win her over and prove that he's not a playboy anymore, and it's really cute and really fun. This is one of his playboy buddies and his childhood friend, and this series is so fun. I laugh so much in these. Like, if you are somebody who likes something like My Love Story, I would recommend checking out this series because humor-wise, it's similar in a lot of ways. I mean, Takeo's not the lead guy in this one, I think it's Kai. He is not this big beefy guy like Takeo was, but it's a shoujo primarily from a male perspective. We do get a lot of different perspectives throughout the series, but it's really good. I really love it. Next up, this is probably one of the cutest volumes of manga I've read in my life, and that is Manly Appetites Volume 1, Minagishi Loves Otsu. So essentially, we're following this chubby guy, and his name is Otsu. He is at work, and there's this guy who continues to come down to his department and pay some extra special attention to him. He's constantly giving him treats. They go out to lunch together occasionally, and they have a pretty good working relationship. But Minagishi here, the thirst of the office, we'll say, because everyone's thirsting after him, only has eyes for Otsu, even though all the women want him. So he's friendly and cordial with them. So Otsu doesn't know what to think, and it is so fun. There's this one page that pretty much perfectly kind of sums up the tone of it, because Otsu, he's not very kind to himself, so be aware of that if you're sensitive to those kinds of things. But Minagishi continues to affirm to Otsu, you don't need to lose weight. I like you the way you are. Don't change. And he finds him very attractive, and there's like a Kabe-dan moment in here. Like, I love this so much. And I read this on stream with Dylan earlier this week, so I will leave that linked in the corner for you. So you definitely go check out the stream if you want to see my live reactions and pulling up random panels where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just so cute. Because this was such a fun reading experience, and I wouldn't have wanted to read it with anyone other than Dylan, honestly, because he appreciates it all. It was so good. Like, go read this. It's out technically tomorrow, but my bookstore had it out early, so pick it up. Next up, we have Volume 4 of Night of the Ice. I continue to love the direction of this series. I believe this series is going to be 11 volumes long, so I think where we're at in the series, I was pretty much expecting a lot of the dynamic that was happening in this particular volume. This is one of those volumes that will frustrate some readers, so just go in prepared for that. I continue to really love Chitose and Kokoro's dynamic. Like, I just adore them. They are so cute. They are so fun. I just adore them. So yes, keep going with Night of the Ice in my opinion. All right, up next, I finally got around to reading the next 2 Vizbigs of Inuyasha. This is all I own currently. I still need to pick up the next couple of volumes of these Vizbigs, but these are 3-in-1s. They're big, they're sturdy, and, you know, Inuyasha is kind of like rite of passage anymore. But anyways, it's about a half-demon named Inuyasha and a girl from modern Japan named Kagome. Kagome goes back into I forget the term for the time period of Japan. It's not feudal. It's a different one. I can't remember right now. But she does that because she houses a particular jewel in her body. And she goes and she wakes up Inuyasha from a 50-year sleep. And it's about their adventures tracking down the shards of this jewel because it ends up broken. And their adventures, their people they meet along the way. I just love this. It's so fun. It's great shonen adventure. And it definitely has a heavy romantic element. I don't love the romantic element in this quite so much because they play the love triangle way too long in my opinion, but I have watched the series in its entirety, so I do know how this ends, but I still really love it, and I love this mangaka, and I want to support their work, so I still plan on collecting the rest of them. And then last but not least for the manga this week, we have Cardcaptor Sakura Collector's Edition Volume 6. So I've just been reading this as these collector's editions come out. This is my first read-through of the series, and I have to say I've genuinely been enjoying it. I've been enjoying it more than I enjoyed Sailor Moon. Sorry, Sailor Moon fans. You'll get... I'll talk about it in another video coming up soon, but there will be Sailor Moon things happening on the channel in 2021. That's all I'll say for now. But I really enjoy this. I love Clamp's art style, and I do think that's part of it because I really loved the art in this. Even though the art in Sailor Moon's great, like, there's just something about Clamp that, I don't know, it's almost like homey to me. I really love the art style. And the story continues to be interesting. We've taken on a new arc of the story now, and I'm really loving the direction of this arc. It's a little darker, and I like that a lot. So that's that. All right, that's it for the manga. Let's grab the books. So I have 2 digital reads this week, and they are both by the same author from the same series, so I'll talk about them first. So I read My Fake Break by Eva Lee, and I absolutely adored this. I thought it was so fun. I gave it 4.5 stars. I did have a couple of little struggles with it. It's not quite perfect, but I still really enjoyed the reading experience of this series. Of this novel. In this, we're following Seb and Grace. Seb has long been pining for Grace. He's a nerdy guy. They met at the library. It's adorable. They've been friends for years. And Grace's father isn't doing well health-wise, and so he really encourages her to marry. And the only one who had truly caught her attention at that point was one of their colleagues named Mason. But Mason doesn't see Grace as anyone other than a coworker. He doesn't see her as a woman. He sees her as a colleague. And so Seb agrees to basically turn himself into a rake to make Grace look like a woman in Mason's eyes. So we're dealing with that kind of a plot. There's like an 80s movie, and I think it was kind of loosely inspired by that. But the miscommunication trope is very strong in this book, and that was really my biggest complaint about it. But I still really enjoyed it. I like Seb, and I like Grace. It wasn't perfect, but my reading experience of it was so fun. And this was my first Eva Lee, and I ended up really enjoying it. 4.5 stars. I know this isn't going to be a book that everybody's going to love, but it was the purest fluff that I needed in my life. So that's why it's getting the rating that it is. With that said, I did immediately pick up the sequel because it was on sales, and this is Would I Lie to the Duke? And in this one, we're dealing with, why can't I remember their names? We're following Noel, who we meet in book 1. He is the Duke friend of Seb, and people fawn over him all the time because he's a Duke, and so he's not had a woman who truly caught his attention in a long time. And then we have Jess, who, her family business is on the verge of closing, and she really needs to find an investor because they had a fire, and they make these soaps that are made from honey that they source locally, and so she's a companion to an older woman, if I remember correctly, and the older woman is ill and can't travel to London where she was supposed to meet her, and so she basically poses as this fake duchess to get into this like business meeting, and as she's dressed about in society, not in her, in her lady's clothes, she stumbles across Noel on the street, and business-wise, she's very savvy. She puts this man on the street in his place about a potential investment, and Noel is immediately like attracted to her, and that's just who she is at her core. She was just dressed in a lady's clothing. And so she sneaks into this bazaar where a bunch of rich people get together to be investors, and she subtly drops hints about her family business, trying to just get some interest going in the business. And her and Noel obviously grow in their feelings. And you know from the beginning that she's lying. You know that's going to be the main conflict. So there's not too much that's going to surprise you in this particular novel. But there's a thing within their sexual dynamic when you get to that point that is great. We have a submissive hero, which is not something everybody's going to love, which is why I'm going to go ahead and say it here. I don't consider that a spoiler. And the way it all goes down is glorious. I love it. Yes. Noel lets Jess be his queen in the bedroom, and we love to see it. But I ended up enjoying this one more than My Fake Rake. I ended up giving this one 5 stars. I had a great time with it. Again, I kind of knew exactly where it was headed, but it was exactly what I was looking for at the time, and it definitely earned its 5 stars. So I ended up really enjoying it. I hope you guys give it a chance. And clearly I really enjoyed those because I've talked about them for like 5 minutes on this video. Let's quickly talk about the 2 that I didn't really enjoy this week. So first up, we have Highland Flame by Nancy Blair. This is an older historical. I was like 30 pages in, and I was laughing so hard because it was written so badly that I couldn't even keep going. Like, no one has reviewed this on Goodreads. I left a review saying I might revisit this later, but I'm like, I don't think I'm going to the more I sit away from it. So anyways, I can't even tell you what this was about. It was so forgettable, and I'm just going to let this one go. And this is going to be kind of an unpopular opinion here in the bookish space, but it's the truth. And that's Her Night with the Duke. I ended up giving this book 3 stars, and it's a low 3, more like a 2.5 if I'm honest. So in this one, we're following Leela, who's a widow. She has a lot of freedom. She travels, she writes, and she ends up basically reined in at an inn. And apparently there are no rooms. So this young duke offers to let her stay in his room. They have a wild night of passionate sex, and she returns home to find out that this duke that she spent the night with is all but engaged to her stepdaughter. And things go from there. Now, I left a pretty heated Goodreads review, so my Goodreads is always linked down below. But both of these main characters were incredibly selfish. I did not enjoy either of them, really. They both had moments where I was like, okay, I don't hate you. But I didn't really enjoy either of them. They were both very selfish in a lot of their decisions, and I didn't really enjoy how it all went down. And the thing that I don't feel like anybody's really talking about is the skeevy stepson. Like, he is the worst. And he totally took a whole star off this book because he is a pile of garbage. I hate him so much. He's awful. He's so awful. And he's disgusting. And I hate him a whole bunch. And it takes a lot for me to hate a book character. Now, some good things about this book now that I've sat here and railed on it. I did enjoy the writing style. And generally, the pacing of the book was pretty good. So I'm not opposed to picking up another Diana Quincy in the future. But I just think this book and these particular characters were not the ones for me. So I'm not totally writing Diana Quincy off just because I had a negative experience with this book. And I do think the hype got to me a little bit on this one, if I'm honest, because it's been so hyped in the booktube space that I just went in with different expectations than what I got. I mean, the amount of selfishness and lack of communication was staggering to me. It was, we'll have sex and everything will be fine, rather than actually talking through your problems. And so they kept circling around the same problems, and frustration. So that's how I feel about this book. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it in my collection right now. I've got so many books and I'm running out of space, so I got to get picky. So I'm going to sit on it for a week and see how I feel. But in general, this was a gift and they were so sweet to send it, and I really wanted to love this. So I'm really sad that I didn't. Let's talk about the other things. I'm really getting long-winded this morning. I'm very sorry. So first up, we have Don't Look Back by Christy Craig. Thank you to my friends at Forever who sent me the physical copy as well as approving me for a digital ARC. So in this one, we have an FBI agent named Bree. She's undercover. When things go wrong while she's undercover, she ends up having this like rogue cop essentially come and help her. This is a romantic suspense. It is steamy. It is glorious. It is suspenseful. So do know that going in. And you are centering around a gentleman's club. So we're centering around a strip club. So do know that that is part of the plot. So don't be surprised when that comes up. So anyways, I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed the other Christy Craig that I read earlier this year. And I gave it a solid 4. Really enjoyed it. Highly recommend. All right, let's talk about some Christmas. So first up, we have The Greek Surprise Christmas Bride. So essentially, we're following Leo and Letty. Leo is a financial tycoon. He has recently taken in, I believe it's a niece and a nephew. He's become a guardian to his nieces and nephews. I forget how many right now, but there are multiples. And he basically ends up hiring Letty to kind of like be a governess in a sense. And it ends up getting to a point where he wants her to be a bride in name only. And obviously things steam up from there. This was cute. I don't remember. It's somewhere between a 3 and a 4 star. I can't remember my exact rating. Again, consult Goodreads. The answer's there. But this is really fun. I really like the Harlequin Presents line, I'm finding out. They're pretty easy to guess what's going to happen. They're just a lot of fun to read. And I always try to find them as cheap as I can, and I have a good time. We have another Christmas Harlequin, and this one is Christmas Contract for His Cinderella. This is a second chance romance between Marco and Monet, and he had broken her heart a long time ago, and they get reacquainted, and they have to spend time together. It's a cute Christmassy time. And again, I think I gave this 3.5 if my memory serves correctly. It's a 3.5 or a 4. It might have been a 4. I can't remember. But either way, it was a lot of fun, really sweet. I really enjoyed. Sorry, I don't have a ton to say about these Harlequins. They're just sweet and fun. This one is from the Desire line, and this was Temptation at Christmas by Maureen Child. This is one of those forced proximities because they're on a cruise, and it was just so fun. Basically, this is like a second chance marriage because Mia has to go on this cruise basically to tell him, we're still married, you can't get married. And it's them rekindling their flame. It's good. I really enjoyed it. Nice and steamy. I like them. Then last but not least this week, I read this sweet male romance, and it's One Man Guy. This one is by Michael Barakiva. Dylan over at Dynamic Dylan gave this to me for my birthday. This is a YA featuring a Armenian or Arabic. Anyways, Alec is not white. He like I say, he's like Armenian or Indian or Arabic. I can't remember. My brain does not want to come up with that piece of information this morning. I'm sorry. Anyways, he's at a new school and there's this boy named Ethan. Ethan's kind of the wild child. He looks free and all these things that Alec doesn't feel like he is. And it's about them forming a friendship and then into a romantic relationship. It's really sweet. I really loved this. So thank you so much to Dylan for gifting this to me. I went in not knowing a lot about this book and I'm glad I did. So I'm not going to say too much about it here. But this is really sweet and really well done and really well handled. And I really highly recommend that people check it out. And I think this needs to be in more libraries. I do think this is an important book. And it was a very important book to Dylan, which is why he gifted it to me. And I'm so grateful. So guys, that is it for this video. I'm sorry it was so long, but the reading has been fun. And I hope with all of my heart that you guys are enjoying all of the 25 Days of Manga videos. I do enjoy making them. I'm sorry my shelves are a mess behind me. I'm going to be filming something for that here in just here shortly today. And I've got a couple errands to run first. But anyway, I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.